Indian summer.
Hey guys, welcome to the Home Crowd Artist Chat. This is just a little way to find out a bit more about how the track was made and speak to a few of the key artists involved. My name's Sam Javid. I'm director of No Fixed Abode, and we've been the producers for In India Summer 2020, who initiated this project and got in touch with some of these guys here who will chat to in a minute to really start the Home Crowd project off. I'm here with Mr Shay, Akshay. He's a rapper, beatboxer, looper, producer. Kaviraj Singh, who is below me. He is a Santoor player and vocalist and coordinates the UK's Sitar Society. And also Mayur Narvekar, who's Bandish Projekt, who's a multi-award winning producer, not just for his music, also for his videos as well. And he is the one who has put out this video, Home Crowd, and the track that we're looking at today. Hi guys.
Hi.
Hi Sam.
Hello. Hi.
So I gave some very brief bios there. You're all very talented. So what I'm going to do is just ask you to talk a bit about your work and also a bit about what you've been doing in lockdown. So let's start with you, Kaviraj.
Yeah, so I am an Indian classical musician. I play an instrument called Santoor, which is part of the Hamid Dulcimer family of instruments. I'm also a vocalist. I also, dabble in a bit of cross-cultural work as well, and also being a sound engineer, I'm trying to, feel the waters in terms of, using my instrument and my voice, along with, some effects, live looping and live effects and things like that. So I am kind of dipping my toes into that. I've not done much of it sort of while I studied and things, but I'm trying to do more of that. And so we at the Sitar Music Society, we were brought on to sort of facilitate gathering these samples from artists, all sort of Indian classical musicians, all based in the UK. I think apart from one, all sort of born and brought up here as well. And majority of their learning and things has happened here. So it just shows, how much is going on with indie music here and the sort of scene and things like that.
Cool.
And lockdown for me has been, quite busy, quite sort of a whirlwind. Things have had to move very quickly, different projects being funded, and quickly sort of readjusting and figuring out new ways to work. So I've had a few different projects and a lot of sort of music making, creativity and things like that. So it's been great.
Nice. And I'll ask you more about how you got involved in a minute. Mayur, tell us a bit more about your work, please.
I'm basically a classical tabla player turned into a music producer and composer. And then, I've been doing music production and playing tabla together for more than 2 decades now, and I've been just making this electronic music inspired by Indian classical music because those are my roots, and then working with different artists, collaborating with different people around the world. And that's what I've been doing for so many years. And in the lockdown, it's been really productive, to be honest with me, because I've been just creating lots of new music, and I think the music is going to come out soon. Like, there are like releases one after the one. That's what I've been doing.
Nice. And Mr Shay, tell us a bit about what you've been doing.
Hello. So I am a rapper, poet, and then producer as well. And I was brought up with a lot of urban music, growing up around hip hop and grime. And then I just fell in love with words, and then using words to portray messages, which as I matured and got older have become very much more positive messages rather than just look how great I am type vibes. Spreading positivity through to lyrics. And a lot of my work is done in community music. So teaching lyric writing, teaching music production, beatbox and urban forms of music. And during lockdown, it's been, as the guys have been saying, it's just been, you have to learn quickly. You have to learn new ways very quickly. I've been lucky enough to carry on my work with many amazing organizations in Leicester who have continue to support artists like myself to carry on teaching, carry on making content for virtual and cyber platforms. So that's been really good, and allowing young people to still benefit from music and the power of music during these weird times.
Thanks for that. Yeah, and good to hear everyone has been productive, and I might ask you a bit more about that later, but we're going to come on to Home Crowd now. So just for people watching who don't know the beginnings of the project, Home Crowd, the idea was that Home Crowd is twofold. It would be in the UK and India, both have got their own home crowds, but that the artists would be recording it from their homes. So what we did, first of all, is we went to Kavi and we said, look, Kavi, we need some artists, you choose to record stuff at home, samples, classical Indian musicians. So when we came to Kavi with that kind of very odd ask, what did you think?
I think initially I was a little, apprehensive, maybe a little bit skeptical, how is this going to really work? For me, I try and think very practically and, think ahead, like, oh, people don't have microphones, they don't have very good cameras, for video and things like that. But then obviously, working along with you guys, we, made sure everybody had access to recorders, which was really great, supporting people who not necessarily, would have the chance to do something like this. So that was really great to see. And yeah.
How did you, because you got a lot of accomplished musicians on the track. How did you choose them? Because it wasn't just, I'll go through my phone book. There was a bit of artistic direction in that, wasn't
there? Yeah. I think, looking at the sort of talent that's here in the UK, and sort of choosing instruments that are sort of complementary to each other as well, and not necessarily doubling up sounds. So we had instruments like the sitar, the santoor, which is quite percussive sound, and the two different voices as well, male and female. So they give very sort of contrasting effects, and also being from two different backgrounds. So I come from North Indian sort of music, and the female vocalist we had was from South Indian background. So that's another quite interesting thing about the UK. We have access to the ability to interact with both North and South Indian musicians on quite a regular basis. So throughout my childhood, we've had these interactions, so we've made these friendships. So I reached out to those people and brought people on the project.
Nice. And Mayur, we came to you next and said, look, we're going to get these samples. What do you think you can do? Can you make it into a track? What did you think when we said that?
Oh, I was pretty excited, man. To be honest, I have never done a project with so many artists, and that too on in this way, in the terms of digitally collaboration with so many artists. So yeah, it was kind of challenging in the way for me to come up with something what I did, because I didn't know what was what I was going to get samples from and how they're going to be. But thanks to Kavi, because he was directing the whole project and he knew exactly what he was doing. And that made me very kind of in a very safe position, because then I knew what I was getting, hearing the first sample which he sent me, because I can figure out what was coming next. And then I was like, all right, then we know what we're doing, because he knows what we're doing. So, and I was really happy listening to his voice first, because then it gave me a mood to start from where I should start from, basically. And that's what we call, like in the Indian classical term, which is like creating a mood from a alap, which is the beginning of the repertoire. So, that just sets the mood of where the whole repertoire is going to start. And that is what got me through the whole track and made me realize that what I should be doing with the other samples of the other artists coming from. And I think it was really exciting working with these people. And then obviously, I thought that, because we're working also with the culture, Indian classical was obviously the first choice to work with this track. But again, I also wanted to have a culture which is from UK, and it's also having a belonging of India somewhere, which was Shay coming and putting him in this project and giving his point of view of adding his lyrics to this track, which would have a different context in the whole perspective of what we are trying to make with this track. So I wanted to have that culture as well involved in this, and that's where I thought that let's have not like just spoken word, but kind of a rap bit where we can have the whole song flowing, like, where it starts from, and it has like a journey and a story of what we wanted to share with the people living in different time zones and where we live, like in India and UK. So I think it was really, really, really challenging and at the same time really exciting for me. So yeah, man.
And I think that's the really special bit about having somebody as accomplished as you involved, because once you got, you'd already worked out the samples, you worked out, I can make a song with this, you built a structure, but then you came back to us, you said, look, we need some lyrics, we need something else. This is a good song, but it's not as good as it could be. So you actually called us and you said, look, can you get Mr Shay? Because you guys, I think, had collaborated before in the UK.
Yes.
I know his style. I know what he's like. Can Mr Shay do something? So, Mr Shay, when we got in touch with you, what did we ask you to do?
Yeah, it was amazing. I was quite taken back that, whoa, you want my voice on this amazing piece of work. So the question was, Shay, can you put some lyrics over this instrumental? And I listened to the instrumental, and the reason I was taken back by it, because it was a beautiful piece of work as it was, classical elements, rags coming in and out, alabs, and the traditional instrumentation was just beautiful already. And so I'm a bit taken back, like, what, you want to add these vocals over the top of this? Like, so it was quite, for me, it was like, all right, I need to handle this very sensitively and get into a different frame of mind. So for me, it was quite challenging. I was honored to have the challenge. And the biggest part of the challenge was, how do I complement this already beautiful piece? And I'm used to doing, smooth hip hop or really aggressive grime. And this kind of hit in a kind of a middle ground, which was it still had the elegance and the smoothness, but then there was aggression as well in there. There was pace and there was a big build up. So I decided to go with the feel of what the alap what was telling me, what I was, what emotions were being evoked. And straight away it was a Mother Nature vibe, the vibe of the earth. It was about interconnectedness, and it made sense because all of us as different artists were connecting with each other throughout the world. And so the interconnected theme is what I wanted to choose, and about us with the earth, with each other, with the planet. And actually, Mayur did say, like, these are the kind of vibe, the things that we want to talk about, what's happening currently. We're in lockdown. What are the issues? What do we need to focus on? What do we need to concentrate on as a society and as a world? So that was the message, and that's where that came from. But once it was laid down, the first draft, we actually went to and fro, myself and Mayur, because I came through like really passionately and quite strong throughout the whole thing. Like, the whole thing was just me going, yes, everybody love each other. And then Mayur did a second structure of the piece, which actually started quite slow and smooth, and then had a build up, and then went a bit more, aggressive. And so, yeah, we had to do a few takes, and I guess Mayur could tell you a bit more about why we did that and what he wanted to achieve.
Yeah, well, actually, just as you're talking about that process, as if it was like you were chatting next to each other, but actually you were in different countries, different time zones. What was the complication there? Was it complicated, or actually everyone's so, computer literate, you just like, email?
The power of WhatsApp, right? I probably was talking to Mayur at, like, I don't know what time o'clock, but I don't know, maybe he was like, I have the feeling, Mayur, that you don't sleep too early.
Yeah, I don't. Yes. I'm very comfortable with the UK timing, so I'm like, okay, fine, whenever you just message me and I'll figure it out how to manage that, because I'm like, but I think that whole section of, I think that when we got the music laid down for the whole track and the whole soundscape was decided for the track of how it's going to be, I wanted a narrator for the story. And I think Shay was a narrator of what we are telling about in his form. So, as he said that for the first draft when he recorded, he was just talking about, the way he was talking about was a bit energetic and stuff like that. So I just, we had a discussion about, we start something and we go in the middle of a track, and then we think that, okay, are we doing something good, bad, we don't know. So we just step back and look back. How was that? And how is this sounding? Okay, fine. Then we are like comfortable with what is sounding right now. And then we go ahead. And that's the life journey in general, like with us in any situation. That's what I think as music as well. And that's what we thought. And that's what I conveyed to Shay, that, what if we think like that, you start slowly. And then in the middle, you again, you build up a little bit. And then Kavi's, the main hook comes in. And then Shay again start his vibe, and then he's a little bit not sure about what vibe he's going into, and then again builds up to a big crescendo with the the female vocalist. So I mean, that whole thing of just to keep it in that form, the whole arrangement was very clear in my head when I thought of Shay coming in, because he was the narrator and people are going to listen to him with the music, so he has to complement the music and the music complements him. So it has to have like the best marriage of both, basically. That's what I thought personally. So yeah.
I'm gonna come back and talk a bit about the video as well, because that was a bit of a collaboration between you guys as well. But I just but we're talking quite abstract, I think, in terms of like putting this track together from samples. But for people that don't really know what that would involve, let's go back a bit. So Kavi, what we sent over, the clips were like a minute long, weren't they? They weren't very long at all.
Yeah, about a minute long. So I think you'd come with a sort of brief, maybe 30 seconds, and in a particular key or something like that. So then I took that and spoke to Mayur. We had a conversation, and we decided to try and expand and then show the different elements of say on a LARP, we'd have the slow section, there'd be something a bit more rhythmical and have a pulse. And then we had this really like big ending that was used in the track as well, which was really nice. So then I went away, I kind of put together a sort of structure, and it ended up about a minute or so. So it allowed the artist, that sort of initial, let's say 40 seconds, for them to sort of be free and sort of use their instruments and sort of create something and improvise. And then the last section was kind of fixed. So that was, really, really interesting to see, and how that all came together then.
Yeah, it's good because everybody is talking a bit about a narrative and a story, and obviously music, a song needs some of that. And it's really interesting to see, starting in the UK with artists who had no idea where it was going to go. We didn't know it was going to go. But they provided their own narrative. We passed it to Mayur, he provided a narrative, and then Shay, you narrated in the way we're talking about. But I guess there's that middle bit then that I think people are interested in, Mayur. So we talk about you as a producer, producing a track. But you're sat there, you've got these 8-9 samples. How are you figuring out what goes where? And I know you've talked a bit about you've got the alap and the rag, but actually, tell us a bit more about, you're sat in front of your computer. What is a music producer doing to kind of knit this narrative together?
For me, I think, especially working on Home Crowd as a song, I think because as we have like 9 different artists, including me playing tabla on it, I think that, there are a lot of different styles of instruments which we are playing. Like there is a sarangi, there is a swaraj, then there is Kavi singing. For me, any instrument which is played in any song or any arrangement, I think they should do the justice to the song, and it should complement each other rather than, putting one on the other. So that was my whole structure of the song, and that's in every song which I do usually. Because then when you hear the song, it starts with a Israj alap, or I think Sarangi's alap. I'm not sure. I think it's Israj.
Sarangi,
I think it's Sarangi, right? Yeah. So when it starts, it creates the mood for you. And then when Shay starts, and then the sitar takes you in the mood of when the hook starts. You're in the whole mood of where you're getting into. So every instrument adds its value to the song. And if I put out any sample out of it, it won't have that same impact for me, at least. So that's what I tried to do with each and every. Also, when Kaviraj sent me his vocals, I was like, whenever Kaviraj comes in, there has to be a crescendo. And whenever the girl comes in, there has to be a crescendo, because they're equally important for this track. And that's why, like Kavi, as Kavi said, that, we had decided the whole Tihai part to end with this song, and which is like the classical format of ending a repertoire with a Tihai. But then what I thought was like, because we are going into a non-conventional format of working, might as well put that in the middle, and people won't expect a song coming again after the Tihai. And and that's what it creates in your head, that okay, the song is going to end. But then when she sings, you're again back into that mood, and then it ends like after that. So and that gives me the opportunity of putting the vocalist on their own ways and their own equal stage, because that's where they're showcasing their own talent. So for me, that's very important as a producer. Like, I'm showcasing the Santoor, or I'm showcasing the vocalist or the MC or any artist which is being featured on the track. So my whole criteria of producing a song is that. So, and that's how I think about any song which I'm producing, and that's what I try to do in this song as well. In Beef, yeah.
Yeah, well, that's really good to hear, and I think it's good to hear you say it, but it must be so hard to make sure every artist's work is valued when you've got a collaboration with so many.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
But it's done really nicely.
Thanks, man.
One other thing I wanted to ask about was about the vocals being in both English and Hindi. Now, is that something you've done before, Mr. Shay?
No.
Really? I didn't know that.
Never. So it was a funny process actually, because I'm actually Punjabi, so I speak Punjabi, but I'm Hindu Punjabi, so I wanted to explore the Hindi side of language. And my dad, he speaks Hindi, so I know Hindi, I can talk Hindi, I can understand Hindi very well, but I've never expressed Hindi, as a tongue. So I went to my dad and I said, Dad, I've got some ideas. Here are some phrases that I think would fit. It was actually a natural process. I was writing in English, and then I felt like there was a very natural rhyme scheme which could go into Hindi quite nicely. And so I did a draft and sent it to my dad. Dad, does any of this make sense? Is it working? And he goes, okay, yeah, that's good. It makes sense. And he sent me a few more suggestions. And so big up my dad for that. And then, just incorporated it into the verse. And I think it worked. So first time, and that's what I'm saying, like it was a big challenge, but I'm really glad that I was able to do that on this track.
Nice. And I think that speaks to the whole song, really, doesn't it? This idea of collaboration. It wasn't just a collaboration of artists. It was that crossing the border between the UK and India. And talking about the video now, again, that's very special because there's a very clean style. Very kind of realistic style there. But again, shot both in the UK and India. So, actually, again, you shot some stuff in the UK yourself, didn't you? Had you seen any other visuals by that point?
Yes, so the way it worked is that Mayur sent me some clips of some screen grabs of his filming. So he had already done his parts, and so I got to get a feel of the style and the look that he was going for. And he gave me some, all I'm saying is voice notes on WhatsApp have saved everything. Just voice notes of descriptions, when it was the lyrics, he gave me voice notes, imagery, gave me voice notes. So I had a good clear, like he was there, like we were working together. So I had a good clear instruction. And so I called up my video guy, Rob. I said, Rob, let's do this. Are you free? He said, yes. It's quite a tight time frame as well. So I'm really glad that Rob could get involved. And I've worked with him before as well. And what was nice is around where I live, I'm in the countryside. So there was lots of imagery that tied in with the imagery of Mayur, which Mayur shots, which were in nature. He was walking around. It was quite progressive in terms of like a journey almost. So we could complement that style really easily, actually. And we went into the forest. We went on a nice walk. It was a lovely day shoot. The sun was beautiful. And it just really complemented what Mayur had.
No, and Mayur, I'm going to ask you a bit about that in a minute. But I feel like this is a good time, Kaviraj, to ask you, having been like directing some of these musical samples, now you've seen the video. What do you think? Was it what you imagined? Is it completely different? Does it do it justice?
Yeah, I think definitely. I mean, having somebody like Mayur who has that sensibility, knows the sort of context of the music, and it really does show. It does come across in the video. It was great to see a lot of the visuals. The water in the beginning, it was beautiful. and sort of the way you see this journey through the whole film and the sort of story that you can follow. So yeah, I mean, completely different to what I expected for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Because and to be our initial vision, I kept saying before, this is going to be a lo-fi project. The visuals are going to be very lo-fi, and obviously once we got Bandish Projekt involved, that went out the window because there was no way we were going to do lo-fi visuals.
No, I think it was not that. You know, to be honest, what happens is like when I was creating the track, and that's what usually happens with me. Like if I know that I'm going to make a video of this, the track, I can see the track while it's making in my DAW, like, you know, when I'm working on. So I can see it, like these are the frames which are going to work for this whole project. So, and that's the same thing happened. Like, you know, my like the video producer and the DOP, Vijay, who has directed this whole video, when he heard this track, he's like, so his idea was to make this whole project a point of view project, that a person's point of view. And that's what you can see in all the shots. He had actually created a helmet on his own where he created a helmet, he's wearing that helmet and there's a camera on that helmet. And he just created that at his house in like, I think 2 hours. And he figured out how because he couldn't find like a stand or a gimbal or anything like that, which can portray this in this short time. So he created one at his house and he's like, let's shoot on this. And I'm like, okay, fine. And then what are you going to shoot? So all these shots which you see, like most of them are on a point of view of what a human sees from his eyes. And that's what we wanted to showcase, and what's important for a human to see in general, to have his life in this track and to narrate this track in this point of view video. That was the whole idea of this whole project, I think.
That's good to hear. Yeah, that helmet, I didn't know. That's just another bit of creativity from lockdown.
Yeah, that was mad. That helmet is mad, really. Yeah.
Well, I look forward to seeing more POV videos now he's made it. I was going to ask a bit. So, you know, towards the end of the track, as some of those heavy vocals are coming in, actually the footage starts to take you backwards, doesn't it? You tell us a bit about that.
So I think what Vijay had in his mind was like, you know, we're showing the whole video starts with the sunrise and end with the sunset. Okay. So what happens in a day's life when you wake up and when you go to bed? That's what we wanted to showcase in a general life, whether it would be a UK or anywhere on this planet. So, you know, and because it was India and UK collaboration, we wanted to showcase the sunlight of UK and comparing it with sunlight of India, the water of UK, and the buildings of UK. And that's where the whole artwork also comes in, where, you know, I wanted to showcase a building which looks like, I don't know what that building is, but that's what is, there are two different buildings. Yeah. The fun fact about it is that, you know, I'm talking about this artwork which I made for Home Crowd, was that I initially had in my mind that, you know, I wanted to create something which is one, but it also showcases two different cultures in the same way what this track was or the visuals were. So what I thought of was that, you know, I'm going to use two different houses because it's called Home Crowd. Yeah. So how, say, let's take a house from UK and let's take some houses from India, and they were not matching at all. So I was like, these are like different architectural like games, and I cannot match these two things. But then I had thought that what if I use some architecture which was actually British architecture done by Britishers in India, in Old Bombay, which is there, and the buildings are used there and they're still there. So one of the building is from that place in Old Bombay and the other one is from UK. And when I matched it, it was just there. I was like, wow, this is so great. And, you know, and that just says everything in this whole collaboration, that we are just like one building. And you can, like, few of my friends, when they saw, is like, which building is this? I've seen this, but I don't know where it's going, like, you know. So it just confuses you sometimes, but it just assures you, like, I have seen this, but I don't know where is this coming from. So that's the kind of thought we had for this whole.
Yeah, that's really special to know, actually, because yeah, guys, if you're watching, have a look at the Home Crowd artwork. First look, it looks like one building, one sky, and then you notice, there's something in Bombay, and then you've got Big Ben. You're in London.
Yeah.
No, that's really nicely done. I like that bit.
Yeah, man.
So I'm going to come on a bit now to, I guess, kind of future collaborations. You know, what have you? This isn't a test, but what have you learned from the home crowd that you think, you know, from home crowd, but also from lockdown, from doing collaborations like this? You know, really to the extreme. You know, we wouldn't have thought that we could get, you know, all of these samples sent over, mastered, sent back, rapping on top. You know, so what are you thinking next? How have your collaborative goals changed since then? And actually, I'm going to start, you know, Kavi, tell me about some of the Sitar Music Society stuff. I don't think you've done this sort of thing before, but would you think about it now?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we actually set out almost like you know, we had a list of different genres, different sort of performance types, different kind of work we wanted to really do. We were a small sort of organization based in Leicester, but you know, we have a long sort of pedigree. You know, with my dad, we set up many different organizations. Myself and my wife, you know, Sito, we have grown up with organizations, so we kind of know the sort of ins and outs of what goes on. We're still small at the moment, but you know, we set out in there to, you know, obviously look at the classical work, performances, looking at North and South Indian music. So we've had, you know, concerts where we've done North and South Indian, collaborating with and sort of bringing this music to different spaces. So we've had concerts at the Cathedral for the last 3 years in Leicester, which have been amazing. But then also alongside that is, you know, stepping into work like this, where it's not classical, it's sort of stepping over the boundary a little bit, you know, and sort of giving people a different perspective about what music is, what music can be. So I think, yeah, definitely we're sort of up for doing more of this kind of work, and yeah.
Nice. Well, you're getting a great partner to have on board, and you know that classical, Indian classical music basis for this project. I think you can tell how that's fed through to the rest of it.
Yeah, definitely.
Mr. Shay, tell us a bit more. Your collaborative goals, have they changed?
I think it's widened the perspective like hugely in terms of international collabs. I have collaborated in this kind of fashion before, but it's not been this wide, you know, and with this many different genres or subgenres, should I say, and with this amount of musicians. As a producer, I like to make quite a lot of like hip hop, and I'm using samples all the time, but they're kind of like samples taken from pre-recorded stuff, which we transform. But there's something much more exciting and organic about having real life samples played, like Kavi's crew have done in this context. And there's something so organic about that. And so for me, it's more like, I want to work with real life people playing real life instruments. And if we can't do that in person, well, we know that can happen now via email, WeTransfer, whatever it is. But WhatsApp, exactly. And it just shows how accessible these kind of things are with technology going upwards. So although it's done in a very mechanical cyber digital fashion, you can still have the organic feel of a real life performer or performers. So I think for me, it's, just push the boundary out a little bit more of mixing the organic with the digital.
No, that's good to hear. I think as a looper, that's going to be incredibly important. And you find more and more places to get your samples from. Absolutely.
Yeah, we don't have to scroll through the internet. Just call up Kavi, be like, yeah, you got any more samples for me, bro? Exactly.
And Mayur, you, Bandish Projekt, what do you think is next for your collaborations? Anything exciting you can tell us?
I quite like the fact that I can collaborate with these many people at this point, to be honest, because that too Indian classical musicians, because at a large, if you see, there are very few Indian classical musicians who would be up for collaborating on this kind of a project. So, you know, because they have their fear of whether my music is going to have the value of what I've been carrying for so many years, which I understand because I come from that background. So, you know, for me, like Kavi, getting these artists is like the bar. Like you cannot have anything higher than that for me, to be honest, because all these things are manageable for me. But to get these artists who are such beautiful players and such brilliant artists, to just have them at one place and have these kind of great people to play, and then later on producing track on that is obviously like icing on the cake to me, because it's like your base is already there. You don't have to think much as a producer. So for me, I think I have been collaborating with a lot of artists digitally for a decade now, but this was very special because obviously, like Shay said, that there are about so many artists involved, and at this level of creativity, and where we have space to work with people, and we are I mean, like what Shay said, that when we are talking on WhatsApp, we just thought that we are just nearby, we are just discussing what we have to do, and then we'll figure it out. So by morning, she'll tell me, okay, I've got this angle for the video, and then this take is ready, should we do this? So it was like, just feeling that he's just next door, I can just go and check what he's doing, kind of thing. So it didn't feel that we are like two different countries away, and then we are going to figure out how we're going to do that, thanks to technology. But then again, how you using that technology for your project and how it turns out, it all matters down to that. So I'm definitely happy the way it had turned out, and yeah, man, I'm as Shay said, that we should collaborate more with these projects, and make, because the more for me, it has always been like classical music needs a wider audience, and it's the same for every other music. They need wider audience. So the more you collaborate, the more it's gonna go widen to the, and not just the same people listening to that music, because everybody knows that it's great, but you need more audience for each music form. So for me, that's the challenging part of it, that how you're gonna make it reach to some people who you don't know, or who like classical music, but suddenly, oh, there's some rap as well, oh my god, and there's some electronism as well, oh my god, then it just like win-win for everybody in general, is what I think personally.
I'd like to really, really second that from a first-hand perspective. So when I do music, it speaks to a young crowd, because it's rap, it's hip-hop, it's sometimes grime, it's trap. It speaks to a young audience, but this is the kind of first track, I'd say, where it's just gone past the generations and allowed them to come in. So we all went to Edinburgh on a family trip. In a 7-seater, I had me in the front, my mum and dad in the back, and then my grandparents as well in the same. So 3 generations in one car. And Mayur had just sent the video. I think, Sam, you sent the video over to watch and hear, and so I played it as a preview to my family. And my parents could resonate with it. They can follow the lyrics in rap. But my dad from India loves his traditional music. He was really engaged in the instrumental side of things as well. Now that's good. That's a kind of a middle ground. However, my grandparents, they can't always catch up with the lyrics that are, in such a UK slang accent. But they were so engaged with the music and the musical aspect of it. They loved their traditional instrumentation, and they just felt like they were so engaged with the journey, and it was something they were used to. There was something they were familiar with. So it just ticked the boxes for all generations, and it was amazing to see all of us sharing the experience in one car.
Yeah,
that's really good to hear. But I'm gonna have to end it there, guys. It's been really good talking about this video, about Home Crowd. It's been a very exciting project to work on. I think thanks obviously to Kaviraj and Sitar Music Society. Thanks to Mr Shay coming in, last minute, but laying down something absolutely beautiful to knit together. Obviously, Bandish Projekt, we're very, very grateful to you for all of the hard work you put in, and really for being up for the collaboration in the first place. A big thanks to Beja Fire Records, who've been helping out as well, making sure everything's going well. Indian Summer, obviously, who initiated this project and have been hosting it. And where can we get the track? I think Bandish Projekt is on your YouTube. That's the best place to see it.
So it's already streaming on YouTube and Bandcamp. That's where you can get the track. It will be available on all the Spotify, your Apple Music on the 31st of August this month. So that will be all the stores around the world. So yeah.
Around the world, so anyone can listen. No, thanks again, guys. It's been absolutely beautiful working on the project, and I look forward to many more.
Mother Nature, Mary Ma. I was born from this earth, I was born from the start. This is one universe. Yeah, I rose from the ash when they wanted to hurt. But one thing I learned is that nothing can hurt when there's fire in your heart and you're strong as the earth and your mind is short and you belong to a purpose.